Hopefully some more people will show up. Thank you all for being here. For those that have been with me for a very long time, some of this won't be new, but in general, I work myself kind of cyclical, and I hate the summer. I don't like the summer, so I give myself a break in the summer. So I give ourselves, the office, a break in the summer. That's when people are supposed to go on vacation, recharge, refresh, and I don't put a lot of listings in on the summer because I don't think August is a good time to sell houses in Houston, Texas, in the markets in which we really are predominant in. So thank you for being patient. If you were new and you wondering why we don't have a lot of sales meetings, it's because I don't like the summer. And that's just how it is. But the good news is I love the fall, and we're going to pretend fall is here, whether it's here or not or whatever. And fall vests are a trend. I just want y'all to know that I'm going to set this trend. Whether it's a trend for the rest of the world or not, I'm going to establish that it is. And these are Italian vests that I brought back from my Italian adventure over the summer. So, but yeah, we will start having more sales meetings. We'll get more active. Hopefully, we can recharge each of you, and times are better. And our markets are better and best in the fall and in the spring. I tell people I make money when Onion Creek is overflowing with people. If 8 Road Flint is busy, I'm busy. If 8 Road Flint ain't busy, I might as well go shopping for vests, you know? Nothing better to do over there. But it will get, as the weather gets cooler, the market will kick into gear, and I think we'll see more things happening there. The basic state of the market I don't want to dwell on because it's very confusing, and Har did about as good a job as possible. When you compare August or year to date and you had a disruption like Harvey, you're not comparing apples to anything anymore. So of course the August sales were up, 43%, because shit, we were 17 feet underwater in a lot of places. So I mean, you shouldn't really compare that. The short analysis is if you compared January 1 through August 24th of 17 and 18, we're still up about 7% in general. So the market has held firm and done fine. Of course, the real numbers are broader than that, but if you compare apple to apple, it's been a fairly steady increase over the year before. Our biggest problem is inventory in my world, in the world that we talk about inside the loop and stuff. So the total number of sales really don't make much difference in my market or whatever. But if you go to area 9 and you compare, you're selling this month over next month, over last year more, all those sort of numbers are fine. I kind of focus on this. How are you doing? How are we doing in our market? What have we got really going on? So when times are better, these are the active listings. So we have a few more active listings than we had a year ago. We've got a hell of a lot more buyers. Just keep that in mind. So the number of pending sales last year were 193, and the number of pending sales this year are 315. I consider that number fairly significant. And the problem with the inventory is the peculiar nature in which we find ourselves in real estate today. People love the brand new listing, and you can't give away the listing that's been on the market for 90 days. So while there's we think a fair number of houses on the market, what happens is 100 pop on a week, and those 100 get under contract, and the same 1,000 don't get under contract, And so the people are all waiting for the new listing. Now, September and October, as I mentioned myself, you can look at my little chalkboard. I probably have 20 things I was going to list, and I would not list them in the month of August, on September 1 or on September 5th. I wasn't going to do that. I was going to wait until the market was a little stronger. So inventory will kick up as we get to a little cooler weather, and then the sales will follow along just fine. But if you consider 6 months a balanced market, which I never really consider these statistics valid or whatever, you can still say, in theory, it's a seller's market. But in reality, it's very much a seller's market if you have a really nice product, and it's very much a buyer's market if you'll buy something that no one else wants, okay? It's hard to convince people to buy something that no one else wants. If there's 9 Teslas in the world coming out next month. There's 1,000 people lined up for the 9 Teslas. There's not a lot of people lined up for the 6-month-old Lexus. But maybe the bargain in the marketplace is still the 6-month-old Lexus. So we're going to continue to all year, we're going to continue to focus on this. If you have a listing that hasn't sold, you must do something different or you're going to have the exact same result you had yesterday, which means ain't shit happening on that listing, okay? You got to do something. Some of them feel like they can't do something, so really good agents are going to find creative ways to do something. Sometimes you're going to do it in the virtual reality world. If you have no money to paint, you're going to get with Maria and you're going to color it and you're going to put both photos up on the MLS. Here it is now. Here's what it wants to be, and at least give people a vision. If they won't remove the furniture, you're going to go erase it in the virtual reality world and get rid of it and eliminate that furniture. We have one, I was with Becky. We're going to get rid of the beige walls, and online we're going to virtually paint it white so people can at least see what it is. But you're going to have to do something different or you're going to get no result.
I'm in the process of virtually updating the kitchen. 1343.
Perfect. I think that's a lovely idea.
In the mid-90s.
One of the least expensive things to do. People are visual. They're used to Pinterest and Howls and Instagram and these sort of things. That half those photos have been edited, guys. I mean, they don't really look like that. That sky wasn't really blue to begin with. And they've eliminated a few wrinkles on some of those models you're looking at. Houses are going to be the same way. Find a way. Yes, that's one way. We're going to talk more about this today. But I think we have an inventory problem of not enough houses. But the market's relatively strong. Number of sales are fine. The same basically applies if you're in area 16 or you're in area 17. The number of pending sales is still pretty significant compared to the amount of inventory that we have on the ground. But the struggle is in older houses. I give this quote all the time. The 10-year-old house is virtually impossible to sell. I mean, nobody wants Ubatuba, nobody wants travertine, nobody wants beige. They don't want it. And you can't expect them to buy it at virtually any price. I've made my way through the Perry home sales and the weekly home sales and the in-town home sales offices, and it's the same thing. They can't sell a stained kitchen at David Weekley either. They sell white kitchen cabinets at David Weekley. I went to every high-rise in the city in the last month. You know what sells? The rental apartments. They can't give away the brown one, and there's a waiting list for the white one. I don't know how to make it clear. That's what people want today. And if you are selling something that they don't want, you're either going to have to change their mindset or convince someone at the right price to do it themselves. And at some price point, people will do that, and they'll find creative ways to find a bargain. Someone's going to want a bargain in a market that's hard to find a bargain. And the bargain is the 10-year-old house or the 20-year-old house or the 70-year-old house. That's where it is. And as the contractors work their way through the Harvey stuff, there's going to be more people available to do the work. And that's what you're going to find. You'll find more creative ways. If you're not working with a lender who can add in $30,000 to the sale of a house, you probably ought to go find some other place to work, because you're going to have to find the ability to get these things done, folks. Or you're never going to sell a house, because you'll be in bidding war all the rest of the next 18 months. So find someone who will add in $30,000 to paint the kitchen and redo the tile in the bathroom and the kitchen. And that's the sweet spot. That's the smart realtor. That's someone who's being proactive about what it is that they can do. So the market is fine. The market is good. The market's going to remain good in 2018. I think it's going to be fine. In the grand scheme of things, I cannot predict the future. I just have 20 years of experience about it. We'll tell you that we will probably be just fine in 2018. We're going to be fine in the spring of 2019. Our world does not like uncertainty, and it's poised for the next round of uncertainty. There's uncertainty in the stock market. There'll be uncertainty at the presidential level. These elections are bitter, and they are long, and they are nasty. And no matter what poll you take, 60% of the people are going to think there's going to be a change in Washington, D.C. There may or may not be, but at least the perception is there's a high probability of change. which can be the polar opposite of what you have today, which creates 50% of the people totally disenfranchised to begin with. But there'll be uncertainty, and so it'll be harder to sell a house because while there are record profits today, there may not be record profits in 2021. And while the economy is booming today, it may not be booming in reality. When you talk about the booming economy, you're still talking about the average top 5% who are doing extremely well, and about 80% of the country and people living on a salary basically have had about a 1.5% increase in their income, and their cost of living went up by 2%. So they got further behind. They didn't get further ahead. Unless you sold a bunch of stock or you started out as a billionaire, you aren't necessarily booming in this economy. You know, certain fragments of the economy are booming, but it's not for everyone. So there'll be fear for the oil companies that it'll be different, which causes massive uncertainty in Houston, Texas. So I think our window is probably pretty good. Well, I'm optimistic. It's good in 2018, pretty good in 2019, but we might go through a period of uncertainty where it is going to be harder to sell a house when people don't know what's going to happen. And most of 2020 is going to be a period of uncertainty. So get it while you can, and don't be living on a ledge over there at the end of 2019. We'll talk more about that as the year goes by. So I don't know if you have general questions about the state of the market, but I would, if you didn't get any traffic in open houses in July and August, the amount of that traffic at the first pool front will triple. You will start getting 15 and 20 people again as we get to September 28th and October 7th, October 14th, it's not going to last for a good period of time there. So take advantage of it. I will work every day and happy to work every day until December 23rd. And I'm going to take a break again. That's the way I work, and I'm just going to take a break from December 23rd until January 4th, and we'll, you know, re-energize ourselves in January, and we'll be ready for the March season. So that's kind of the cyclical nature of where we're at the moment. So we have homework for most of today. So you need paper and pen for what we're going to do. I want you for 3 minutes to jot down for me why someone would use you as an agent. And basically divide it in half. 5 things why a buyer would use you, and 5 things why a seller would use you today. Why would someone use you? You have 20 years experience. I'm a mother who can sympathize with other mothers and understand the schools. I understand new construction. I understand historic districts. I understand where the greatest restaurants are. I understand where the hiking bike trail is. I understand minimum lot size. I can help you negotiate the best homeowner's insurance. I can help you fight your taxes for the next 10 years. I can find you a loan for a swimming pool after closing. Why would someone use you over the 34,000 competitors that you have in the marketplace today? And there's a reason I'm available. I will work my butt off for you till midnight. Whatever the answer is, jot down why a buyer would use you and why a seller would use you. What are your extraordinary skills? What knowledge do you possess that you're very proud of, that you think sets you apart? You're gonna jot these things down, and I'm gonna take these away from you. I'm going to talk to you about them at another time. So you're gonna turn them into me in just a minute.
Oh, then I have to write.
You're gonna just write them where you can turn them into me.
That's right, we can read it.
Well, I need to be able to read it,
Well,
yes.
that, you didn't say that.
You're gonna write these things down so you can share them with me and Aaron at a later date.
Good looks and charm too.
Sure, if there's some people that make a very good living on looking good.
Absolutely.
Take advantage of anything that you can. I never had that
Good
skill.
joke. Oh, come on.
So try and separate them if you can. Why would a buyer use you? I'm a memorial specialist. I'm a flood expert. I have a charming personality. Whatever it might be, jot these things down and hand them to Aaron, or he'll collect them.
No one's done yet.
no one's done yet. 10 things, great. You should know these things. We've been talking about this for about 2 years now. What's setting yourself apart? I have an outstanding rapport with the realtors in my area, so that may make your contract easier to get accepted if you represent a buyer, or it might bring you more buyers for your seller because you're easy to work with versus someone who's not so easy in our industry. Jim Ford turned his in already. Okay, finishing up. 10 quick things. They should be readily evident. 10.
Oh, 10?
5 and 5.
I thought you said 5.
5 for the buyer side, 5 for the seller side.
Oh.
You didn't hear that?
No, that's it. You said 5.
That's bull.
5 things that you would want a buyer to know about you. 5 things you would want a seller to know that stand out. Things that set you apart. If you can't get to 5,
Some of them can be the same.
they are. They could be the same.
Right.
Sure, they could be the same.
I could spell.
Don't worry about that.
I know.
These things should come pretty quickly to you. At this point in your career, they should be. You should rattle them off. Well, you have a hell of a lot of competition.
That's what the internet is for.
Yeah, well, we're going to make, so what we're going to do is we're going to compare what you wrote down, and we're going to go see, is your marketing and is your branding saying what you just wrote down? If you're not sending this message on the internet, in your information, on your personality, in your social media, then we're missing the disconnect. You're not telling the people about your special skill set that they need to know about. So we need to do a better job of promoting these aspects.
So you want a name on them?
I need your name on it, yes. Or I should be able to figure it out. I should be able to figure it out. All right, Aaron, just collect it.
Okay.
We're just going to collect what you got. Okay. For a moment, we're going to assume that we represent buyers, and we either have a buyer, or we want more buyers, or we represent a seller, and we want more sellers, right? So one of those 4 scenarios ought to be happening at some point in your life over here, and we're going to talk about it in just a moment.
I changed it, and Bill was changing what we wanted.
Okay, I'm assuming that you have a buyer that wants to buy a house. So if you have a buyer, you need to be communicating at least monthly about the state of the market. What's happening? There is a reduction of the inventory over the summer inside the 610 loop, since we don't tend to have a lot of migration over the summer due to school. People who are more school oriented or more suburban oriented. There's not a lot of job starts July 1 or August 1. The fiscal years don't start at that particular time. There's no bonuses in my world in July and August. Really rich people get out of the heat and they go to Aspen and the Hamptons. You want to see the gay guys are in Fire Island and the straight people are in the Hamptons or Nantucket. You go to Houston, there are Houston parties all over Aspen, all over the Hamptons. And the rest of us are in the south of Italy over there. You can find plenty of people from Houston, Texas in Capri at the moment. So they're not here. That's why the market isn't particularly good, and that's why there's not a lot of inventory. The yards look the worst. We're hurricane weary at the moment. You know, so there's a lot of reasons if you're looking inside the 610 loop that you need to be a little more patient, because you wouldn't necessarily want to buy a house when there are 10 better ones coming on the market September 21st. So patience is a virtue. It's hard to get across to a buyer who's particular, you know, but you've got to be explaining about the state of the market and how the inventory works in these particular markets. And you could follow things like new construction permits will be an indication of how many new things are coming onto the market, how the price points are working. So if I have a 6-pack of townhouses, I wouldn't list 6 townhouses. I would list one for $250 a foot, and I would hope that they bought a refrigerator, washer room, dryer room, blinds, and we rolled that into the price. So the next one I could charge $265 a foot for, and the next one I charge $275 a foot for, the next one I charge $295 a foot for, right? So that always tells me there's going to be some looming inventory of something that may or may not be more expensive. You might try to buy the one that's not listed because the builder doesn't have to report that comp, and he might have more ability to negotiate that sort of thing. When you have that 6-pack, do you list the best one or the worst one? Sometimes you list the worst one at the back, knowing that the front one with the yard facing the street's an easier sell and you're going to get more money for it, but you don't want to start selling the best one because it just goes downhill from there. So there's a psychology to how pricing and inventory works. And I think with the buyer, you're talking about these sort of things, but you must, you know, you tell them, please go on vacation for Labor Day weekend, but please be available to look at houses as we get to the middle of September. No one is going to take your offer on Saturday morning if you write an offer for it. If you write an offer for full price or $20,000 over on Saturday, the message you sent to the seller was wait till Sunday, use this offer to get another offer that's a higher offer, right? So if you're serious, Mr. Buyer or Mrs. Buyer, go buy a house on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if you have been waiting in the market to buy a house and you're not prepared to take off to buy a house on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, we're going to be sitting here in January and you're not going to have a house, because other people are going to do just exactly what I said. Serious people buy houses Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You look at them on Tuesday, you write your offer Tuesday or Wednesday, get the damn thing under contract on Thursday before they get talking about their open house they're going to have on Sunday. To try and secure it up, you got a better chance for a 10-day option period if you get under contract on Tuesday, because a seller's not going to want to leave the house off the market for 2 weekends. So if you get under contract on Friday or Saturday, you're going to be struggling to get a 7-day option period, which is going to create additional stress in our life than if you just bought the house on Tuesday. So Mr. and Miss Buyer, let's look around in August. Let's look around maybe on the first weekend of September. But if you want to buy a house, let's go buy a house on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in our market while our inventory is going to be hot in September, October, November. Otherwise, you're going to wait to buy the leftover house in January or February. If you're serious, you should be communicating these things about the expectation.
Don't you think it's a lot better to list a house on Monday or Tuesday?
I'd love to list it on Tuesday. I want to list it on Tuesday. I want the first showings on Thursday or
Much
Friday.
better than Friday or Saturday.
There's no point in listing a house on Friday or Saturday because you miss the bang for the buck. You put your fresh baked pie out on midnight. No one got there until 7 p.m. the next night. That was kind of silly. You want to pull the pie out of the oven and put it there at 6:59, right? Then it's fresh baked pie. You want to do the same thing. A list on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Start your showing sometimes over there. Sometimes, you know, the basic listing that I have, we do the photography on Tuesday or so. We practice on MLS on Wednesday. We maybe put it on Back Agent on Thursday, put it on the MLS Thursday, tell people showings are going to start Friday. I make my sellers go to Galveston for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because it's going to be sheer hell with the showings. And so there's no point in, if I tell them the showings from 2 to 3 and they clean up at 1:30 and walk the dog and walk back in at 3:15, that agent's going to show up at 3:21, right? That's what's going to happen. If we're not communicating well with, we'll talk about the seller side again in a moment, then you haven't set a realistic expectation. So yeah, I think you should expect plenty of showings in the beginning of a listing these days. plenty of buyers in every one of these markets. They're just particular. We know they're particular, but they're going to go look at the houses or whatever. But serious people really do try and buy a house. And sometimes we look at it on the Saturday or Sunday, and then they're going to be coy, see if you can wait them out on Monday, see if the agent's begging you for an offer on Monday afternoon. If not, you're more negotiable on the Wednesday, right? Try and buy a house on a Wednesday. You got a better shot of getting it accepted. So prep your person, let them know about the market, let them know about a reasonable expectation. And then show them houses. You got to be showing them something. They want to look at something. When they're beating their head up against the door because what they want is zone to Harvard Elementary with a master down and room for a pool and 3-car garage and it's not there, listen to me. Show them something they can't think of themselves. Show them some other neighborhood. And you'd be surprised the number of people who say they want X and they end up buying Y. And the realtor has some responsibility to show them something they can't find themselves or wouldn't think of themselves by looking at Zillow.com over there. So have something else. If they love the Heights and getting frustrated, show them Garden Oaks. They may not buy it the first time you look at it, but it's a way you can get a bigger yard with a less expensive house, little elbow room over there. If they're trying to buy in North Hill and can't buy in North Hill, show them the near north side, show them the east end, show them something else they wouldn't normally think of. They don't have to buy it. You just have to do your job, which is to show them something they couldn't get on their own or whatever. So have some other alternative out there that you're always looking at. And so be thinking outside the box a little bit. I know you wouldn't normally look at this house, but I want to show you it anyway. And you want to keep them in your car. The goal of having a buyer is to get them to buy something, not just communicate via email, not go to wine with them. It's to sell them a house. And, find a way to do that, whatever. If you don't have a buyer and you're trying to get a buyer, you've got to sound knowledgeable about something that buyer is looking for or not. The same thing. If you're at an open house in North Hill and you're not trying to market other up and coming neighborhoods, you're missing an opportunity to find a buyer and show them something they wouldn't normally already be thinking about. If you don't have information about lenders and loans available and options in loans that can get them a pool or finish out a garage apartment or remodel a house, then I think you're missing an opportunity to sell a house. They might buy one of those houses with a brown kitchen if they know for $10,000 they could add it into the marketplace and pick out their own countertop and color. Relatively easy thing to do these days. So don't, have a vision board of other things that can happen with that house. What else can it be like? If it's not something, if it's got carpet now, have some hardwood samples. Have the estimate for the hardwoods there. Show people what it is that they can get. So you got to be creative about that sort of thing. If you have sellers, you have a listing and it hasn't sold in a week, change the MLS, something about the MLS every Tuesday after we get out of the sales meeting. Go and change the front photo, go and change the comments, think outside the box, erase the comments and put 4 words. What is the number one reason someone should buy this house? Go to the seller. Seller, why did you buy this house? Let them write a letter and put the letter on the MLS or leave it at the front door or just have that comment, a quote from Dickens, I don't care, but have something else thinking outside the box. People are visual. Once they've seen it, they're not going to go back and see anything about that listing unless you change something up. So put a different photo. Like I say, less is more. These realtors that want to have 98 characters up. Another outstanding example of a craftsman house in a great neighborhood with zoned to great school. I'm so bored with that shit. Tell me something else. My clients love the ability to walk to Antidote every morning with their stroller and experience the smell of fresh coffee and the air of the Heights and see like-minded people sitting nearby. Something different that they will not think about. I have plenty of people that'll only buy a house zoned to Antidote. You know, walking distance to Antidote, or they don't look at it. If that's that important to them, tell the rest of the world about the opportunity to walk to Antidote over there. So change the MLS every 7 days. Because if it hadn't sold in 7 days, your ability to sell it is diminished with each passing day. Okay? Know the competition. The most important thing about a listing, if I'm listing your house and you're at $600,000, I tell my seller every day, this is the next house that will go under contract. If you were virtually buying, you would buy this one before you'd buy your own house today. The most important thing is to know what's happening in the competition. What are they competing against? And what can they do? And sometimes you stark reality. Yours ain't gonna sell till this one sells. And let's just watch this one. If this one is better than yours and it's not selling, you know what they feel like? At least, you know, they know that the problem isn't you, it's the market then. If this one's better and it's not selling, then mine probably wasn't going to sell either. They won't get as frustrated with you. So they should know all the way along, you know, what is it that you're selling and what are you competing against and what's happening with that competition. If you're not giving accurate feedback on a weekly basis, you're going to lose your listing and you should lose your listing. And you shouldn't get a listing anymore. Because the number one thing these people want, I don't even think it's selling it sometimes. I think they want the damn communication. They are lonely. They want to talk to you. The number one thing you need to do is to communicate on a regular basis with your sellers, or you will not have sellers for very long. They're accustomed to immediate gratification and immediate response. And you're not always going to be able to give them immediate response, but you can give them regular response. Regular, accurate feedback on a weekly basis. And if you're not given weekly feedback, their next realtor will give them weekly feedback. And you're going to struggle the whole process without. That's the number one thing I think these sellers are demanding is better feedback. And it's not the standard thing. It's not the same thing. You had 3 showings this week. Shit, honey, they knew how many showings they have this week. They own the house. They got an email about how many showings. That's not valid information. What's happening in the competition? What have you done for them this week? What are the comments that you've heard that are valid? Get off talking about invalid comments. What is valid information? You know, and what sort of expectation can we get? And if you tell them, I told 2045 Harvard they have a tenant. You're going to have a shitload of showings in the first week, and you're going to be frustrated as hell. Well, about the 6th day, she was frustrated as hell. Now, 2045 Harvard, which was one, got 0 showings on Saturday. This is the 2nd Saturday. 0 showings on Sunday, and 0 showings on Monday. You know what? Everyone that was interested in that house looked at it on the first Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I knew that that was going to happen. I told the seller that's exactly what was going to happen. And I told the tenant that's exactly what was going to happen. If you don't get the people in the beginning, you're bang for the buck. Now we're going to be pulling backwards. I'm going to be fishing. We could have gotten full price in the first week. 2nd week, I'm at least going to be negotiating $50,000 to $75,000. And 3 weeks from now, the best offer is going to be $100,000 or $150,000 less. And you'll be pulling teeth to get somewhere in the middle. That's the way the market is. That's exactly how the market is. And it isn't going to get any better unless we do something different. So setting some expectation and providing feedback on a weekly basis. I would call them and tell them something. I would email them some information that they didn't already have. And then I would follow it up with a phone call. And I'd only do that if you want to keep the listing the next week. And if you don't want to keep the listing, just avoid them like everyone else does. And then it'll be someone else's problem later. You gotta give feedback. They demand it today. Every day in our world, people are talking about commissions, and they all can calculate 6% as well as you can. And they think, in exchange for that, this is what I want. I want good communication. And we fail to do that as an industry. We put it up, and we pray that it sells right quick, and we struggle for something to say week after week after week after week. And that's what we get paid to do, guys. If you can't do that, you need to find someone else to help you do that, because that's really what we're getting paid to do. It wasn't For $100, they can get someone to take a photo and put it on the MLS and come up with the exact same stupid comments that people have been putting on there for 30 years. Think outside the box and do something different if you really want to sell it. So I'm a very big proponent of the same thing we just did. If you can't list 10 reasons why someone should buy this house, you probably aren't going to sell the house, guys. It's too competitive these days. So I just randomly picked up Rick's listing here at Beauchamp something. Randomly, whatever, however you say that. It's a lovely listing. He's had it for a while. Rick is a very nice guy, okay? Rick is too nice, okay? He's had this listing for a while. I don't know how long he's had it. Is it T. Shorn?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. It's right around the corner. Okay, go to the sale one, but it doesn't matter. This is a very nice house. It's a very nice house. It is zoned to a top-notch school. It is on a corner. Half my world only wants a house on a corner. It has a low-maintenance yard. It has a water feature. It has 4 bedrooms. It has a lot of really nice things about it. And as usual, his photos are probably nicer than it really is in reality. The thing when you walk through this thing, you're immediately disappointed because the grandma shit that's totally thrown throughout this thing and these dark, dreary, colorful sort of things, no one in America wants to buy today. Nobody wants this. This is an effort in futility to keep trying to sell and expect a different result than what we had yesterday or the day before, the week before, the week before. How long you had this now? 2 months?
2 months.
Okay, 2 months, we know what we're doing isn't working. So we need to be firmer with these people. This house will not sell with 9 different colors in the house. It is not going to sell. That is not what the buyer wants. They don't want this wall color. They don't want these draperies. They sure as hell didn't want this furniture and grandma's armoire in the dining room. I mean, nobody likes this. Nobody likes this window covering. Nobody likes this Baltic brown countertop. Nobody likes this travertine backsplash. They don't like this stupid piano that makes them think of an old town saloon in 1880 over here. We're not in Fort Stockton, Kansas anymore. We got to get rid of this stuff. Even if he photoshops it out or covers it with a sheet, I don't care. Not going to sell this stuff with grandma's dead furniture in here. Not going to sell it. You're not going to sell it. You have to be painfully honest with these people. Get this crap pulled together into the garage and put sheets over it so nobody sees what bad taste they really have. There's a lot of really good things about this house. And nobody can see them when they walk in. They go, and they go to the kitchen and they go, and they look at all those colors and go, oh. And they just go and buy the brand new white modern farmhouse Craftsman around the corner. It's so much easier. I would assure you, we could pull up the 20 houses that have sold from $1.2 to $1.3 million in the last 60 days, and they all look alike. They're all featured in all these old Facebook posts and Nextdoor posts all across our neighborhoods, and they don't look like this. Now, someone who it has redeeming qualities. There are 10 good reasons. Zoned to Travis Elementary, corner, low maintenance yard, big spaces, open kitchen, dining room, study or optional music room or office or formal living room. This thing's got to go too. You're much better off taking that down, throwing it away, and giving them a $300 Post-it note that says, go to August Antiques and buy you something Craftsman over here. It's hurting our ability to sell it. They want a mod.
Where's the price at for this one?
Oh, you're $1,250,000 or something.
But I mean, how does that fit into that?
The price per square foot is totally within range of what's buying. And the exterior is wide, and I walk by this house 3 times a day. I go to the park. I run at White Oak Park. I love to bike by there. I walk by there. There are dog walkers. It's close to parks and green space. It's high. There's 10 great reasons why you should buy it. Nobody's listening to those 10 reasons. They're only saying this whole thing when you walk in the door. These draperies have got to go. Nobody wants them. They weren't even good when they put them up. They weren't. They carried them from some other house or something. It was a bad fit. I mean, it really was. Now, it might lease. Someone will lease. I would tell them the God's honest truth. I wasn't painfully honest with you the first 60 days, but I'm going to from this point forward. There's really good houses sell in the first week. And these are the 20 houses that sold in the 2 months we were on the market. And this is what they look like. Allison, what do they look like over there at 1018 Euclid? They look white. They're white. Modern farmhouse craftsman houses. You gotta be honest with them. Painfully honest. If you're uncomfortable, I will be happy to do it because we have spent a lot of money in this firm on this house. And when they list with Amanda Anhorn and she has that conversation with them and they paint it white and they sell it, Greenwood King got all the money and we didn't get shut. So I might as well be painfully honest with them. You had a fighting chance maybe the first 7 days. After that, it goes way downhill. This house will not sell in its current condition. I don't care what happens. So now they've begun to these pictures with the furniture are crap. Just don't even put these pictures up anymore. I would have just moved it all out and taken the photo if you had to move it back in there. There's no point. What are you looking at here? What are you looking at? What, 1978? I mean, come on. It just really, it's not doing me any good. This is great. Low maintenance, AstroTurf, water feature. People with bad knees love hot tubs. Gay guys love hot tubs. Really kinky heterosexuals love hot tubs. Lots of people this can appeal to them. I think we got to be brutally honest with a few more of these people. If you got a modern white farmhouse, it's going to sell just fine. And if you don't have that look, you're going to have to struggle over here. So we need to be more honest. There are very redeeming qualities to this house. Nobody's seeing them. Honesty with the seller. Help them get rid of this crap. Take all these draperies down. Throw them in an attic if they have to have them. Move this furniture if they're waiting on something into the garage. Cover it. Do a virtual rendering again with darker floors and white countertops. Get the estimates of what that really costs. It's not that much. It can be done in 7 days, and someone will be on a corner of a low-maintenance yard, zoned to Travis Elementary, by the hike and bike trail with access to hundreds of miles of recreation and amazing opportunities. There's the redraw of Houston Avenue. Your access to downtown is 5.5 minutes. You're high and dry. There's lots of redeeming qualities. Nobody can see them. I'm not picking on Rick. I just randomly picked one because I went by there this weekend. And it's, you know, someone's gonna love this house, but not the way it currently is. And we're not telling them that sort of honesty. I mean, we're just praying that it sells, but I'm just telling you, we're just delaying the inevitable that someone else is going to get that listing. Someone else is going to be more honest with them. They're ultimately going to do the changes anyway. They're paying $10,000 a month for it to be vacant. They're at risk for it being broken into and stolen and all sorts of stuff. Nothing good comes from these people being overseas and this house being virtually empty now. So they want to sell it or just lease the damn thing or be done with it.
How about staging?
You know, I think staging is fine if there's a flaw. You know, this was a fine line. So if this were, you know, so I looked at this house, even Fady and I were contemplating renting this house because we have to have some place to go. And I could redo these countertops and I could paint that white and I could darken the floors. I would put this my dining room, then I would have I would have the formal living room, what is now the dining room, and I need all this space for my library over here. Someone might not be thinking about it the way it is now. They're saying you're missing a room. I don't know how to do it, but that's how I would do it. I don't need a separate dining room over here. this is plenty of space to have the dining room here, still have an open break room, and then utilize our formal living room for our Christmas tree and when I like to visit with a few people intimately, and then have my library office over there. So I think staging, virtual staging, just as easy to do this virtual as it is to rent $4,000 worth of furniture for 3 months. So I think I could show them, you take their floor plan and show them a couple of different options over there.
Does your rental need to be in?
If we prefer for it to be in the Heights, but I am looking in Westview. Okay, that's just if you have a seller. If you don't have a seller and you want to get a seller, and you're at whatever scenario, you're going to tell the seller these sort of things. I'm going to communicate better with you than any other realtor on earth ever has. I'm going to be brutally honest with you about not only the state of the market, the competition, and what people are saying about your house and what you should do in order to sell it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm not going to hem-haw around it. I'm going to tell you the painful things. You may not accept it in the beginning, but I'm going to continue to tell you the painful things that are necessary because I'm a professional. And I know what's going on in the marketplace, and I know what it takes to sell your house. If you're showing this house and someone's not buying it, it's a perfectly lovely house. There's a reason they're not buying it. It's not because there's not enough buyers, or the area was not desirable, or that it was really overpriced. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's that what you're competing against is more desirable, and it's available, and about the same price. And so this one's always going to go to the bottom of the list. And it isn't going to get any better because we all been talking about how this white thing is going to sell, and you're going to have plenty more houses come on that bought this house 10 years ago. In order to sell it, they remodeled it into one. Okay.
The sellers are reticent to paint the flames.
They've had 60 days of futility.
Right? No, right.
I mean,
totally agree.
The market is telling them, then
Well, right, so what do? You paint
virtual paint it. You go and say, let me show you a virtual rendering. Let me get you the estimates. Let me show a buyer what it could be like, whatever. Sell around that the best way you can. But you've got to get that furniture out of there. You got to get those draperies out of there. You want people to see the space. They can't see the space right now. You can show them, give them some ideas of the space. You can tell them the 10 reasons why they should buy it, that sort of thing.
He does speak the truth. I'm going to show you before and after pictures on the Northwood.
Yeah, it was not going to sell the other way. It was like,
And it's
this thing,
so-
we're not saying upstairs is too damn colorful too. All those blue rooms,
Yeah.
all those walls painted an
What is,
accent
what
color.
does Hart say about us doing?
Virtual. So long as it's clear that it's virtual,
Okay.
You said stated this.
that's right.
Well, I mean, I did the White House on
That's right.
yeah.
Okay, so that's, but if you're getting a seller, you want to tell them the same thing. I know the market. I know the competition. I'm in the competition. I'm going to give you accurate feedback. I'm going to honestly tell you the state of the market. I'm going to keep you up to date on a regular basis, that sort of
Can I
thing.
ask you a question?
Yes.
If you were trying to tell the seller how important it was to sell your house in the first 7 days, I know you said a lot.
I will tell them that exact. This is the state of the market. There are 1,000 buyers over here waiting for a new listing, okay? They will flock to the new, whether this is Westview Memorial, River Roach, or Cinco Ranch, it's all the same at the moment right now. They're all online, they're all stalking. You don't get these millions of hits on HAR because there's not people not looking at HAR, okay? They're over there looking at it. So you want to tell them about the importance of your first date. You ain't going out in your sweatpants and no makeup, or you're not going on a second date over here. I'm not sure you'll get a second date with lipstick, but at least you got a better chance over here. So the importance of first impressions is important. Timing is almost more important than the first impression. That's why I wouldn't list a house, the Thursday, and so I have people, they listed the Thursday before Labor Day weekend. That's the stupidest move on real estate you could possibly do. And you should get out of the industry if you did that, because you didn't represent your seller well. It was a disadvantage. You left them now at a disadvantage, and your fiduciary responsibility was to that seller.
We didn't really give them numbers, like your probability of getting the full market is.
Sure, I mean, we have that statistic based on what everyone knows the original list price and the actual price and the list to sales price. It's a known statistic, and you can give that sort of thing. I wish every house on earth would list for $1, and the market would then determine what it's like. Because I'm totally convinced that I could take $1 million house, list it for $1, and have someone bid $1,000,001. But if I list it for $999,999, some asshole just wants to offer $975. But if it were listed for $1,000,001, he would have offered $1,007,999. It's a game with the numbers.
They want.
The list price is important. The bidding war is more important. It's just more important to get to. So you don't want to overprice because you don't want to be chasing backwards 60 days later because those listings are very
Sometimes if you overprice, maybe the market will just.
That's right. The market will determine what it's willing to pay. Always. And 10 years ago and 15 years ago, we all listed a house $15,000 or $20,000 high, knowing we were going to come down $15,000 or $20,000.
Right.
That does not work anymore. Use that with your beeper, okay? Just go over there and beep that to yourself, because that's about how accurate that is today. Don't do that. Find the price of what it wants to be, list it at that price, and hope you have multiple offers, and then you can negotiate the ones not subject to appraisal or take one 5,000 over or something of that nature. That strategy is much better than coming down and coming down and coming down and coming down and continue to come down to no avail. Nobody wants. I can show you plenty of houses in our market that have been for sale 2 and 3 years, okay? This house I'm looking at Southgate or whatever, was 2.9, and then 2.8, and then 2.5, and then 2.25, and then 2, and then 179. What is the market telling it? If I wait a little bit longer, it's going to get $100,000 cheaper, right? That's what he told the buyer. Very few people are willing to pay 1.7 if they think they can get it for 1.6 in just 4 weeks. Very few people. It's a vicious cycle going down. You want the opposite. You want to buy Enron stock when it's going up, not when it's going down. When it's going down, everybody got rid of it. Okay? You want to try and buy at the right deal. So, yes.
So what if you have a client that you tell them this incessantly and they still, no, I know it's worth this and I'll sit there and wait. If it's the ones that need to move on, they're leaving or whatever, the ones that I think I want to sell my house, you know, and.
But testing the market is still doing yourself more harm than good. You're still not going to bake your apple pie and sit it outside for 2 weeks and think someone's going to buy a spoiled apple pie. They're not going to. You're hurting your ability to sell the house in the future. You're hurting your value. All you did was give HCAT a reason to raise your taxes, and no one's going to buy your house. So you've hurt yourself. You're just cutting yourself over here with sharp objects over and over and over
No,
again.
you got an offer in the first week. And,
That is what the market was willing to pay.
Insulting.
That's what the market's willing to pay. Take it off. Take it off for 6 months and a day.
Yeah.
I mean, take it off. It's not the time to. You tested the market. If it doesn't sell in about 30 days, you got a problem to begin with.
I had that same client, and what I did was I took her around and I showed her what the competition was.
Get them in a car and show them
And
some other
exactly, I
houses.
put her in my car and said, let's go on and.
Your house is worth only what someone else is willing to pay for it, and they're willing to pay for it based on this other competition. Get them in the car and show them. If they won't take, you can't take your iPad and go show them in their house, but yeah. And yeah, I mean, or just agree that that one's not going to sell. But we are doing them harm by leaving it on the market for an extended period of time. There is nothing good will come from that. You're better off pulling it off and seeing if someone doesn't say, oh, I was just waiting to see if you were going to lower it or not. At least you have a fighting chance to sell it in the next week. So if your listing's expiring September 30th, pull it off and let them agree in writing to pull it off September 21st and see if someone doesn't come because you took it off. You might get more activity that way. Okay, got these buyers, we got these sellers. You also must be marketing to the marketplace, which is the title companies and the mortgage companies and the termite inspectors and the appraiser world. And if you're not doing something to help yourself into that market, you're hurting your ability to represent a buyer and a seller will. You've got to do something to bond with these sort of people. Go to some of these title companies. There's lessons that you can learn there. Read these emails from the inspectors. Call these inspectors. Go to their little 1-hour things. It will help you in the long run. There's no downside. If you get a listing and you've gone to Inspector A, B, or C's little seminar on mold, and you get a listing and they come with their buyer's agent to your listing, you've got a level of respect with the inspectors already. You have levels of respect with the appraisers if you call and talk to them. And you want a good rapport with people in your marketplace to accurately represent a buyer or a seller. This is what's setting yourself apart. Your ability to know what. If you aren't studying every week what the interest rates are doing, with someone putting 0 down, 10% down, 20% down, and 40% down, you're not performing your role as a real estate agent and a professional who's supposed to know this sort of thing. I make a lot of analogies to football teams, although I never played football or whatever over the years, but I know a little bit about it. Every week, you got to study the guys you're going to play. It doesn't matter if you played the Patriots last week. If you're playing the Falcons this week, you study what happened with the Falcons. How did they do? You watch their films and you study their activities and their playbook and their performance to figure out what your strategy is going to be on defense and what your strategy is going to be on offense, right? We represent the sellers and the buyers. We've got to keep up with the marketplace and the industry and your other realtors. You should be talking to other realtors on a regular basis. Doesn't matter what it's about. Pick an area you want to go focus on and call the top producing agent in the near north side and talk to them about the near north side. Talk to someone who just represented builders in the east end. Talk to someone who just sold a house over there in Meyerland that flooded. There's no downside to spending 20 minutes a week on a few of these activities to make sure that you're in a position to differentiate yourself. So, always, you're working in a particular area, all of you should have some area that you have a level of expertise in. Doesn't matter what it is, high-rise, Meyerland, starter homes, it wouldn't matter. So you should know the shiny penny in that marketplace every week and be keeping up with it. If you don't know, if you're working in this office and you're coming to this office and you're taking floor time, you damn well should know where the best 2-1 bungalow is at any given moment. You should always know where the best 3-2 bungalow under $1 million is. You should always know where the best master down house is in the marketplace at any given moment. The best house with room for a swimming pool at any given moment. The best house with a 3-car garage in the marketplace at any given moment. And if you're not earmarking those 3 or 4 things and you're not checking them every week, you're not giving good advice to the sellers or the buyers, and you're probably not going to get a buyer. You got to be able to talk about the houses. You got to talk about what came on the market. The Becky's Best Bungalows or things forces you to see what's on the market and forces you to tell what happened to the ones you talked about last week. It's a pretty good exercise. You don't have to have a list and email to the people, but if you're not doing that same sort of thing in your marketplace, you're never, I mean, that's what a seller wants to know. That's what a buyer wants to know, and they want to know that you've been doing it more than just 1 week. They want to know that you have a consistent level of keeping up with what's going on. You know, so you don't have to study all the areas. Talk about a micro area. It can be just Woodland Heights. It can be just Idlewood. It doesn't matter. You know, if your specialty is high rises, where's the best 2-2 high rise today? What's the difference between the 4th floor and the 14th floor? What is the average of the difference of the floor? Some of these sort of things so that you can have a conversation about those sort of things. So you've got to be looking for those sort of things. And then you got to be going to broker open houses in that area that you want to be a specialty in, because you want your face to show up in front of Greenwood King and Martha Turner and John Daugherty. If you expect your buyers to get their offers accepted from Greenwood King, Martha Turner, and John Daugherty, that's how they see you. They see your name, and you should be making at least 5 appointments a week. If you don't have a buyer, make it up. Go show Tony. Tony, I'll show you if you'll show me. You go show me 5 houses in Memorial, I go show you 5 houses in Eastwood. And we're going to go look at these houses so that your name pops up there. So that when you dial in, Centralized Showing and say, "Hi Bill, how are you doing today? What you going to go show today?" Because you showed something yesterday. You're going to pop up at Martha Turner and Greenwood King's appointment desk, and you're going to look like you really sell houses for a living, even if you don't. You got to fake it till you make it.
Also, that's how you run the neighborhood.
That's how you know the houses. You
That's not
got to get in the houses in order to sell a house, in order to speak accurately about it. If you're not looking at 5 houses a week, you should have buyers that you're showing 5 houses a week. Not show 50, but make it up. Go look out. The easiest thing to do is go look at 5 vacant houses at Boulevard Realty. We've got them spread out throughout the city. But at least, I mean, go look at houses so you can get a feel for different types of houses and show some that are outside your comfort zone. I went to Braes Heights this weekend. I went to that Barbara Bush literacy thing. It was on TV because they had a driveway that they created that holds about 30,000 gallons of water. I was intrigued buy this house. But then when I went, I was just gonna go show 5 houses that flooded, 5 houses that didn't, over in Grays Heights and Meyerland. I just wanted to go see what was going on. That's how I spent my Sunday afternoon, because I want to be able to talk about what's happening in Meyerland a year after a hurricane. You can pick anything, Spring Branch, go learn a new area. A lot of these things, it's 2 hours on Tuesday, it's 2 hours on Wednesday, it's 2 hours on Thursday. You're not investing a little bit of time into your industry every week. In September, you got a lot of competition out there that is. And I think that these are some things that you really have to be doing. So, back to your listings. Same thing with this feedback every Tuesday. Walk through your listings every week. If you're not walking through your listings every week, you're looking for roaches that are there. You're looking for a smell from the toilet that hasn't been flushed in 2 weeks. You're making sure that the yard is weeded, that the sprinkler system isn't inadvertently rotting something over there, that there's not a homeless person there. You owe it to your listings to just walk through the house. What I would do is take a fellow realtor with me on my listings and then do the same thing and go to their listings, because you want a fresh set of eyes from time to time. But at a minimum, if you take a listing and you're not walking through the listings, then I think you're not doing your real job as a listing agent. I mean, I would set myself apart and I would go do that deal, and I would then look at some of those sort of things and get some sort of feedback from that. And when you take a listing, you have these wonderful listing appointments and you set all these expectations, and you're going to call them and give them this feedback every Tuesday. I would have a mandatory 30-day meeting to regroup on where we're at in the listings. I wish to God you all would take 30-day listing appointments and agreements, only agree to 30 days. It would force yourself to go think about what you would do differently at the 30-day mark, and you would reevaluate. And so I'm a huge proponent of very small time frames for listing agreements, so that you're forced to then go, be brutally honest. Most people do 90 days. Some of them, I mean, 90 days is the average. Some people, do not go on a first date and stay 6 months with people. Yeah? Pretty brutal over there. When it's going great, you get to go out on a new date. When it's going not so well, you want to be able to cut your apples and move on down the road over here. So, you know, if I took a listing today, I would just say December 31st. I wouldn't say 90 days from today. But, I mean, I would think 90 days is a good way. I'm telling you, really good houses sell pretty quickly. Really bad ones stay on the market for a long time. So it forces them to do something different, or forces you to cut that listing and go focus on some other endeavor over there. At some point, you got to move on to something else that's more likely to sell. So all this leads us to your kind of weekly refresher checklist. What am I doing in lead generation? This is you. You're asking yourself this. What am I doing in lead generation? And what we're really doing is promoting myself. That's the way you're going to really generate true, genuine leads from your sphere. Am I promoting myself in any way through Facebook or Instagram or some sort of blog? And if you don't have some ability to promote your real estate career in some form of social media, you also should go check out New Home Salespeople for David Weekly, because that's the way you're really going to build a brand over time, is having a library of information that you can expose someone 2 and 3 years later. So you've got to have some form of something. If you're the lifestyle king on bars, then at least you have a reference to that, or schools, or activities, or art activities. But you've got to have a library out there somehow in social media, which will help you then promote your listings, promote yourself, promote your lifestyle, promote the skills that we just talked about. What is your, what's your ability to stand out? Maybe it's your knowledge of historic districts, or new construction, or high rises, or Meyerland, or it wouldn't matter. International sales, the British School, Auty, Heights High School, any sort of sphere, you're going to then go promote something about that. If you're an expert in Travis Elementary and you're not saying something once a month about what's going on at Travis Elementary, what's going on at the Spark Park, what's going on you know, you need to stand out as someone who's really, you're knowledgeable. You got to tell the rest of the world a nugget of your knowledge over here in order for you to really stand out and get some lead there. You got to keep up with the market. You got to keep up with the micro market of what's going on and be able to have this conversation at any given moment about the area that you really want to go focus in. If you don't have an area to focus in, we'll get you one real quick. You've got to have some micro market, anything, doesn't matter. If you're not communicating better, you're going to be out of business. The people, the one thing, technology has gotten our little industry where this little phone and all these little apps and all these little technological things are really great about making our lives easier so we have more time for the personal connection. And if you're not using all that technology and lead generation and analytics and platform and all DocuSign and all these sort of things and not having the human connection, you're going to get replaced by an app, okay? The one thing that makes us stand out is this human connection. It's these weekly meetings. It's this 30-day deal. It's these conversations. It's this personal connection with your microsphere neighborhood. It's your knowledge that you're sharing. You've got to have a more personal connection. The people that do that in our industry are going to be just fine, and the rest of them are going to get beat by iBuy and Open Door and Dash and whatever the next little platform is. Because there's some people that want that. They want no connection, and there's not going to be anything we can do about that. I have never in my life been to that Walmart over there, okay? It's packed. I'm sure it's lined out the door. There's plenty of people that want to do that. And I am happy to pay $98 to have Uber Eats deliver my weights and measure for me every night. I don't want to go to Walmart, stand in that line and buy eggs for 99 cents cheaper than I could get them someplace else. Someone does. That's about how real estate is. There's going to be these levels of service and expectation. And we're at this high-end level of service and expectation. So you're going to have to perform at the high level of service and expectation, or you're going to get beat out by the guy who'll do it for $500. So I'm trying to differentiate yourself into that market base. And communication and human relation is the way about it. If you're not getting some form of continuing education also, I would say once a week, but at a minimum once a month. If you're not going to some form of class, the technology is too available. The information, there's too access. Every title company, every mortgage company, HAR, everyone on earth can host a little seminar and teach you out. It's not that. You just need one little nugget of information, and the interaction with the people is half the battle. That's what you're going for. So your name shows up at Fidelity Title. So your name shows up at HAR. So you interact with someone at a Compass Realty or at an Open Door, at EXP or something that you don't yet have experience with, so that you have some ability to co-op with these people at a later basis. There's something that you can learn from all of these classes, or some relationship that you can make there. One class a month for 2 hours is really not too much to expect someone who's continually growing their career. And if you're not promoting your brand, marketing yourself some way, and thinking about what is the actual plan of marketing and branding yourself, your houses, why someone should use you. If you're not thinking about that all the time, you're going to have a lot of knowledge and no money. You want both. Our industry works well when you take knowledge and dedication and hard work and integrity and you use them all at the exact same time. And if you only focus on one thing, if the most knowledgeable guy on earth may not ever sell a house over here. So you've got to have knowledge. It's the foundation over here. But you've got to actually put the knowledge to use and to work and to market yourself and to get outside your comfort zone in order to really be effective. So my challenge to you is, we're here in September, the beginning of fall, best season is out now. You all now know before anyone else. Think about these sort of things and what are you doing every week to do a little bit of this. And when you go through a week and you didn't have the week that you wanted to have, go back and look and see, did I do all these things? Did I make an appointment at a continuing education class? Did I go look at some houses outside my comfort zone? Did I really spend 1 good hour studying the MLS of my little micro market? Did I do something on the social media that would explain why I'm an expert in what it is that I'm an expert in? And make that could be lifestyle, school, churches, pep rallies, it doesn't really matter. But I think you've got to do a little bit of each of these things on a consistent basis, every week and month out of the year in order to be effective. Questions? There's a lot I just want to kind of go over.
It's always good to hear it.
Thank you. Okay, we do have another little topic. We're going to move on to wire fraud, and we're honored to have Chantel here from Fidelity National Title. Who's this is a very hot topic. She's going to give a little 5-minute talk on it, and then I'm going to follow up with something.
So, I really have to tell y'all, been in business, in the real estate business for 15 years, 5 on the title side. I've been to a gazillion team meetings. This has had more real and relevant.
No, you spoke on
I'm back there and I'm like really having to control myself because I'm like, preach! Like, oh my God! Yes! It's like, amen. I mean,
Thank you.
I am not kidding y'all. I mean, everything that he says, because I train agents. I train new agents, I train seasoned agents. Everything he said is part of what I do, what I try to teach them. There are 37,000 agents out there, and just in our Houston marketplace. What makes you better than the next guy? Why should I hire you? Everything he said, I'm like yes, I'm just like, yeah, we come from the same page, not the same boat. So, okay, again, my name is Chantal Freilich. I'm with Fidelity National Title. We are direct operations office over in the Galleria area. A lot of you probably have seen me coming in and out of here, dropping off, picking up. I do mobile closings here in your office. So, at the end of the day, it's what's best for your client. Truly, it's my job to make y'all look good. There is, like a lot of what he was talking about, marketing yourself, all those things. Come to me. Come to me. I can help you. The old saying, I know a guy who knows a guy. I'm your guy. Like, I have superpowers, I swear to God. And I know I do because having come from real estate and knowing, like, the senior underbelly, I'm still a recovering broker. I stay active, I don't practice. But knowing all of that, I know it actually matters. And I know, it's 5:01. I can't call the title company because all their phones are rolling over. Yes, you can. You all have my cell number. Because I'm still wired like an agent, I don't have boundaries, so I know you're not calling me because you're bored. You're calling me because you need something, and that's the value that I bring. And I have the people behind me, the division president of Fidelity, who I can call on a Saturday and say, hey, I need a verbal on this survey. Can we do it? I get verbal in 30 minutes. I get written in an hour, and I'm picking up 2 contracts on Sunday. 1.8, 1.2. That actually happened. So anyway, I've got 5 minutes to talk. I'm going to talk really, really fast because I am here to put the fear of God into you. So you've got several flyers on your on that wrote your places. The one I want you to really look at is the creepy hand flyer. Now, I want to correct kind of a misnomer here. It is not wire fraud. The wire frauds are perfectly fine. It is business email compromise. That's the problem. And I know we are all sending out, I know with the agents you're sending out, basically a notice for them to how to be on guard for this, right? Title is sending out. We're sending out, we received a contract, we're sending out a commitment. They're being told a million times. How many people here sign something without actually reading it? We all do. We cannot depend on those forms. We need to educate our consumers, our buyers, and the sellers, because you don't want the seller's proceeds, being hijacked. Because what's happening are the criminals are breaking into the actual email accounts, and unfortunately, it's usually the agent. The agent, sometimes the lender. It is not title. Title companies they have such amazing, huge, fail safes, firewalls, all these things. You'll never ever get buyer will never get wire instructions in an email. You will never get it in an email. It is a secure link that goes to the buyer and the buyer only. I know a lot of agents want to say, I want everything to come through me because that's how I show my value. I control it all. You can no longer afford that. Oh, speaking of which, I'm sure y'all already know this, your E&O now does not cover this. You have to have separate cyber insurance for this. So just make sure that you have that. So what is happening is they're breaking in and they're not doing anything yet. They're just monitoring the emails. They're watching the conversations go back and forth. We had an instance where People's Choice Bank is the one that got hacked into. They monitored the conversations. A week before closing, they send an email to the buyer and says, hey, this is Andrew at Fidelity National Title. Here are your wiring instructions, and they knew the amount. Go ahead and wire X amount. Buyer emails him back, thinking he's talking to Fidelity, and says, hey, there was a last minute change. The amount is actually this. And he CCs his lender on it. The criminal sees that he CC'd the lender and immediately calls and is like, hey, this is Andrew. So sorry, that was my bad. Go ahead and go ahead and wire that amount. The buyer was actually in the process of setting up the wire, and the lender saw the emails calling him, stop, this is not the title company. It's that kind of thing. I was doing this presentation at another brokerage, and we're talking about it, and one of the girls raised her hand, and she said, this happened to me last week. My buyer called me and said, hey, I thought I was doing the cashier's check. Abby's like, yeah, why? She's like, well, you just sent me an email giving me wire instructions. Abby went into her work email. This was the brokerage email. It was in her sent box. They went in as her buyer had no reason not to think it's her. So basically this is what we have to do. We have to train our clients to inquire before they wire. Even when they get it, when it is legitimate, just call me, ask. And when I say call me, I mean the title company. Using a known trusted number that you've had since the beginning, not the number that's in the email, which is surprising how many people do that. We actually had a case in our office where there was funds being transferred from one title company to our office. The girl from the other title company, thank God she did what she was supposed to do. She called our office to verify wiring instructions. And we had to tell her, those are not our wiring instructions. She had been communicating for 2 weeks with someone who she thought was Stacey Amaro, and it wasn't, because they had hacked into someone's email on that transaction. I hate to be that kind of, what is the Chicken Little when all the sky's falling, but it is. You have to be hyper aware. You have to tell your clients. Now, one of the things that Fidelity has done, and we've done this globally, they now have to register into a portal. There is not going to be any wiring instructions, no personal information, anything that's sensitive like that goes through the portal. It is a pain in the butt. Everybody doesn't like it because, like, oh my God, I got to do something. Yes, you have to do it. It's just the world that we live in today. I had an agent that in one of my classes, he's like, just tell me what I need to do so they can't hack in my email. Just tell me what I need to do. It's like, if they want in, they're going to get in. Don't ever assume you've taken all the precautions and that you're not going to get reached. It's the world that we live in. So now, like I said, Fidelity globally has done this. Any company that's owned by Fidelity, that includes Charter, Allen, Chicago, Stratex, they all have this now. So now granted, I want you to take your contracts to me and close in my office. I can promise you, we've got over 50 years of cumulative experience in my office. And you have basically, like short foot rub on there. You don't have to worry with any office that you close that's within our family. They're going to take care of us. They really are. And just exercise some patience on that. So now that I've depressed y'all and sucked the soul out of you, I do want to leave you with something good. There is a free app called Texas Title Rate Calculator. And sometimes you just want to know the title policy, right?
Yeah.
This calculates it as you type it. All you put in is the sales price. So I'm going to say like you have $500,000. The title policy on a $500,000 sale is $3,091 to the penny anywhere in the state. You're welcome.
Yeah. What's the acronym?
It's Texas Title Rate Calculator. Yeah, and this is, like I said, sometimes when you're in a multiple offer situation, sometimes it's just enough to get your buyer's contract accepted if you pay for the title policy. That way you're not raising the price of the property, the seller only cares about is net. It's a very effective tool for that. And this way, when you're talking to your buyer, you know exactly the numbers you're talking about, or to your seller. I'm also going to be sending you all a link to a closing cost calculator for sellers and buyers. It has all title fees, lender fees, you're not guessing on anything. So, yeah, we're here to make you better agents. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Texas title rate.
Texas title rate calculator. You'll see the fidelity.
Is it .net?
Don't
No,
leave quite yet.
you're going to your app.
Don't leave, Star. 2 minutes.
It's your app. It's your app. So anyway, thank you so much.
All right, so is everyone using this form? This is the wire fraud form that's promulgated that if you represent a buyer, you need to have a buyer sign this form, not the day before closing, okay?
Okay.
We need the buyers to sign this form, and you need to be able to explain it. And pretty much what she said, inquire before you wire. Just to reiterate how they're doing it. They're monitoring every email you ever send. They're waiting till you get the preliminary closing statement. Then they're hacking into your email and sending your buyer an email that says, here, the number changed, and here's wire the money to here. Happens all the time. I interview agents all the time. It's coming from the agents who sent their clients an email fraudulently, and the money goes to Africa over here, and your client's out $140,000 and still doesn't have a house. Not many of them have a spare $140,000. Okay? If you catch it the first hour or two, you got a fighting chance of getting the money back, but let's keep it from happening. So, in conjunction with this, the MLS, I don't think you know this yet either, Chantal, will soon, you will not be allowed to have any title company information on the MLS. Not on the agent remarks, not anywhere, okay?
That's
Now, pretty huge. Two things are happening also tied to that. On the MLS, and I'm not a matrix expert, when you go and you get a, because they're getting this typically from the selling agent. Remember, that represents the buyer. You will still enter in the agent into your deal. You OP with Amanda Anhorn, you're going to list Amanda Anhorn as the cooperating broker. But Jay, when you go to the MLS and you see an item OP, you are not going to be able to see who the cooperating broker is on the MLS on the main page, okay? It's no longer going to be there. It'll be on your page, Susan, that you can see when you pull up Matrix and you pull up your listing, it's going to show it down there. The field's going to be there. But Jay can't see that any longer. Now, Jay, you will be able to click on the archive, and it will then be there, at least the public ID. So it's just one step away, but that's how agents are going to be able to figure out who the cooperating broker is.
So, but you're right, in MLS, they're saying don't put it in there. They're even recommending that when you're posting pictures, just like your normal pictures, hey, we're at inspections, we're so excited, we're this. You need to be really careful about not showing where that property is. There was one where I saw, it was like, you could see the address right on there.
Yeah.
And they're going in and finding that address because they now know there's a transaction in play. They're very sophisticated about what they're doing.
You're not even going to be able to put in the document sections when you have a relocation for Cardis and it gives you the instructions and it says to use Stewart title and one. You won't be able to have that information on the agent side either. Even on the agent side, because they're smart enough to go there, click it, find the information. So you'll have the information. You're just going to get the chance to email the agent who the title company is. I know that sounds silly because if they can already hack into your email, they can hack into that email. You'll be able to give them the information, email them the information, but you can't put it on the MLS. Effectively, immediately, I don't know if they're going to roll this out October 1 or whatever, but we're going to make it now. Remove all references to title companies anywhere on the MLS, including the documents that you upload. Okay? Which will make it a little more confusing if you have to call the other agents to get the title company. But at least it's a way to protect you from sending some email and your client wiring the money to Yemen. It won't be very funny.
Do we say call agent
You can.
for?
You can. You can call the agent for title company information.
Yeah.
You know, you can. Yes, Mark.
And we, on our checklist on the package and stuff, we update this checklist to include this form and others.
Yes.
So that we go through, because there's several now that we should be.
Yeah, it'll be with the other notice.
Yeah.
Right.
I also have been approved, this is just some side, I'm teaching a class now, a mandatory continuing education class approved by TAR, whatever, on the floodplain ordinance. It's 2-hour continuing education class you'll get credit for. I'm gonna practice with you guys very soon here, and then we're trying to get our other 2-hour class on the realtor in the city approved for, like I said, continuing education hours that you'll get credit for. So then I'll be out teaching this class at HAR and other real estate firms as well.
So when you practice on us, are we gonna get the 2-hour credit?
Yeah, we'll make sure we can. We'll make sure we can. We'll make sure we can. All right, any other questions? I know there's a lot of information. I'm available should you need me. Welcome, everyone. Sell.
Awesome meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. I came up with this coffee at midnight last night.
Yep.
Alrighty, thank you. I'm around. Hi. How's it going?